We are live. Woo! Season 2, episode 1. We're kicking off in a big way. We are so excited.
Epic.
Yeah, to be back. So after 23 episodes, 19 countries, all kinds of downloads and craziness and unexpectedness, here we are in season 2, 2023. Yeah, let's just dive right into this. So did you bring Brian on? Is he in there?
He's on. There's his face.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Look at that.
All right. B, can you hear me? Is he faking it again?
I'm faking it.
Yeah, all right.
All right. So if you're listening, I know we had a ton of people asking and we kept having to reschedule to a lot of different things going on. Duffy got sick and all of our schedules, but we're here. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on your testimony. And first off, just thank you for even coming on. And that was one of the things I told you. I was like, I don't want to bring you on. I didn't want to ask you to come on here until I knew if this was a God thing or not, because, you know, you get Brian on here and your ratings go up. You're like, was it the ratings or was it God? Was it Brian or was it God? So we're happy to know that has nothing to do with you and you're just icing on the cake.
What an intro.
So, yeah. So if you want to see, thank you. So
is that an insult or
no, because we know that you have a draw for sure. There's a lot of people asking about you, but I really wanted this to be a God ordained thing, and God's really shown up through the podcast. So, but thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You sound like you have auto tune. It's totally like breaking up, but I can catch the words. But
okay,
I restarted my internet, so it should be good on my end.
Okay. We'll keep going. So let me know if you have any trouble. So I'm going to start off just by saying we're not going to get much into his testimony. If you want to look at Brian's testimony, if you haven't heard it before, he's got a book out, a couple of books out. And then one of my favorites to watch on his testimony is on iamsecond.com. One of the most watched testimonies on iamsecond.com. And so much so that he got to do a second one for them. Kind of a, where are you at now type thing. So, but where I really want to go is there was a interview that I saw last year near the end of the year. I can't remember the guy's name. All I remember is his first name, Rob. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it's Rob from Machine Head.
Okay, that's it. So on that
what's
interview,
the name of his podcast?
What's the name of his podcast?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is it?
No effing regrets.
Wait, was that regrets or Rugrats?
Regrets.
Okay. So on that interview, you were talking about something, how when you came to Christ, and for the listeners, how long have you been a Christian? Oh my gosh. What is that?
It's my finger.
Oh, where have we gone? What happened? We're gonna take a side.
Podcast.
What happened?
I don't know. I was messing around with some stuff downstairs in my basement, and I yanked something, and my hand slipped, and boom! I don't even know what.
You're a guitar player. You can't be messing around with stuff like that.
Yeah. So I was talking to Rob. I was not, let's just say I couldn't find the right words at the time, but what I was trying to say was fanaticism was what was driving me before in the beginning. It was just like, yes, I had a fresh encounter with Christ, and he revealed that he's real to me, and it's not just fake, it's not just whatever religion. But I've turned into a fanatic, and I was lacking love and kindness and, peace. And I was just like, get away from this dude type of thing, My family was weirded out by me. My band was weirded out by me. My friends. And then all the fans were weirded out by me. The only people that weren't weirded out by me was the fanatics. And they're like, yeah, It was like, it's like I became a huge right-wing, far right Trump supporter, and all the crazy Trump supporters like loved me. But But every normal person that you could just talk to and have a conversation, like, were weirded out. So, and yeah, some media outlets took it to say that I was not a Christian anymore or whatever, and the headlines, clickbait or whatever, and the rock media was just like, oh, this and that. But no, that was very far from what I was trying to say, but I couldn't articulate it that day very well for some reason. I don't know.
Well, that's actually how I heard about the interview. I had a friend call me and they were like, "Hey, did you see the latest interview with Brian where he's not a Christian anymore?" And I go, "Where'd you get that?" Because I heard it. And he goes, "Yeah, it says that he took it too far." And I go, "Listen to the interview before
Yeah,
you
people
call."
are crazy. Like, honestly, like, it scares me sometimes how people are so ignorant and they see a headline and then they just, in their mind, clicks, "Oh my gosh, he's not a Christian anymore," because they see the headline.
Right.
It's like
Right.
scary that so many people are controlled by media. That's just one small little rock headline. Just think about going on the far different opinions on Fox and CNN, and the lies that they're spreading there. It's like,
Oh yeah,
crazy.
it goes a lot deeper for sure. So okay, so that's good. So how long have you been a Christian now? Was it 18 years, 19 years?
I think 18,
18.
January 9th.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
been amazing. I wouldn't change anything at all. It's the best thing by far that's ever happened to me in my life, because I found the real connection and relationship with Christ, who is very much still alive, and he'll prove to anybody watching, if you seek him and keep on seeking him, ask and keep on asking, he will show himself to you. It's just scripture. It's truth. And so, yeah, it's been 18 years and it's just everything to me. It's everything.
Yeah.
I don't throw it out there all the time now, because I realize that a lot of people don't want to hear it all the time. So I just want to be, look, if you don't want it, I'll enjoy it and just be your friend,
Right.
You don't have to have it, because I'm freaking living in sometimes heaven on earth, sometimes suffering on earth. But there's a lot of time where it's like heaven is real now, because of the union spiritually that you have with Christ.
Brian, what would you say is like that evolution then? You talked about when, you first got run over by Jesus and you were kind of in this extreme zone, kind of head and heart state of mind. What does the rest of that journey look like since that time? So that's kind of how things started. How would you describe that progression over the last 18 plus years?
Oh, wow. Ups and downs. Joys and sufferings. Confidence and fear. Walking with God, becoming a child again in a way that you trusted whoever cared for you. And I realize that could be a trigger point for people, because not everybody was cared for correctly. But if you were at one point in your life where you didn't have to think about what to eat, you didn't have to think about, just the necessities in life, and you just trusted someone. That's how it kind of is with God. Faith can be translated to trust as far as meanings, and it's just like, you can go through something that looks so bad for you, and you just have a trust deep inside of you once you develop that relationship with Christ, that the scriptures promise that there's things, all the hard things in your life are actually working for you. That's what faith does. It's like the opposite of the world. When this dude that wrote like a lot of the New Testament was talking about, is Paul I'm talking about. He was saying that he delights in things to go wrong. I delight when things go wrong, in weaknesses and insults and hardships and difficulties, because he had an understanding of the spiritual faith that Christ pours out his power on lives. When that happens, so you kind of have you just make your mind do the opposite. You teach yourself like, oh my gosh, bad things are happening. That means God's getting ready to turn this around, and He's going to do something good. And it always happens every time. Like I'm going through something, give it a couple months. There's something like He puts a smile on my face. I don't know how. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how you're going to put a smile on my face again after going through this. And then sure enough, I just forget it like it never happened and healed and ready for the next thing. And then ups and downs and ups and downs, you know?
Yeah.
But when the downs aren't so down because you can't stay down anymore. It's like that song, I get knocked out, but I get up again. You're never going to get me down.
Although that's about vodka, but hey.
But seriously, you know?
That's good. It's true. No, and that's actually one of my favorite things. That was kind of my next thing I wanted to get into. It's one of my favorite things about you. It's what I call kingdom mindedness and how you have gotten there. Because as I was telling Duffy, I was like, Brian, you didn't have the religiousness that we grew up with.
Right.
We grew up in that, and we got kind of, for lack of a better term, just kind of pooped on by a lot of that stuff. And so you didn't have that. So I've been in situations where I remember a conversation I was telling Lynette, and I was just kind of going off on, something that was annoying me. And you looked at me and you were just like, and you put a different spin on it. And it's what I call kingdom mindedness. And I go, I didn't even see it that way. Like I was so caught up in the religiousness of it or the whatever. What would you say? Because there's a lot of people out there that struggle with that, with the religiousness of things and what people call spirituality. What keeps you grounded in that to stay, not that you're perfect, not that you always get it right, but to stay more kingdom minded all the time?
Bro, I was so out of control with my emotions. Like my emotions ruled my life first 34 years. I was just like, as a kid, I felt deeply. So I would get hurt easily. And I got bullied a lot when I was a kid. So like that really hurt me. And I got suicidal too young, just thinking bad thoughts, and wishing that I had like courage to like stick up for myself and even fantasize about stabbing the bullies and like weird stuff, like some of these kids that maybe do shootings and stuff think about, and then they actually do it. But I was just, when I found Christ, I was like, I don't want that anymore. I want the farthest opposite. And then I kept reading the scriptures and, like make every effort to keep the bond of peace, and consider others better than yourselves. And Paul talks about forgiveness and that, there's spiritual enemies. And he says that to trick the spiritual enemies, you forgive. And so I was like, oh man. And just do the opposite, and it's the fruits of the Spirit. It's love, joy, peace, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, and self-control is a big one. And so I just want to keep that mind of peace, because it says that we are given the mind of Christ. That's what it says, and people say, oh, Christians are brainwashed. Well, it's not really washing your brain. It's given a new brain. You're given a new mind to think differently. And that mind is love and light and peace. And, you deal with disagreements and stuff and you get to it, but you're not supposed to leave it there. You're supposed to go back to peace.
Right.
So I'm not perfect. I battle with it sometimes too, but I just don't like that stuff, and it's like, what's one of the biggest issues with this fallen world is division.
Yeah.
It's separate. Like you believe this, I believe this, I think this way. And so, families are separated, friends, and of course society. It's like the last 3 years, it's been division is like the biggest bomb of this whole warfare that we've been in, is division, a bomb of division. It's just like everybody going at it. So
Right.
That's all. You know, it's just from my past trauma and my past personality. I just want to stay far from it. So I try to keep peace in my mind.
Yeah.
And I leave that stuff to God. You know, I'm just like, Lord, I don't want to try to be God in every situation. You know, I just leave that stuff to you. You know, pray for the person, walk away. If I need to talk to him about it, talk to him, and then be done with it.
Right. No, I love that. I love the idea, what you said, of do the opposite of what we want to do. And it's usually probably a pretty good idea.
Right? The scripture is very clear that the flesh is against the spirit. So the love and light and peace that he desires for us to do, we want to do the opposite because that's the flesh.
Yeah.
And so our spirit has to grow to be bigger than our flesh. And it takes time. And I went through a quick process, about 8 years. It was pretty quick. You know, sometimes it takes people a lifetime, but I feel like I learned a lot in 8 years and I got my emotions under control. But you meet people like Todd White, bro. He was 2 years walking with Christ. And I would ask him, like, how do you not have depression with all the stuff you did? He's like, I know my identity, man. I'm like, and he's just like, I'm a new creature. And he's like, has Jesus got depression? Then I don't have to. And I'm like, you don't make sense. That's not practical. That's not practical. So some people would say I'm quick. I was mad because Todd was quick, you know?
Right. Right.
And so it's all relative. It's like we're all different and we're all on our own journey.
Yeah. Wow. That's good.
And you had to come out of a lot of religious,
Oh, yeah.
maybe not as much like, I mean, I don't know, but maybe not as much like just emotional turmoil from like drugs like I did, but you had other stuff that you had to get out of with your religiousness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's twofold on that one too. I mean, I remember telling Ryan Reese, because I thought I was doing good from the drug standpoint. And I remember him laughing at me because I was like, yeah, I tried to stay away from the hard stuff. All I did was LSD. And he was like, bro, what do you... He was like, how much did you take? And I was like, well, there were times that we got to like 5 because we couldn't get the feeling anymore. And he's like, that's worse than some of the other stuff. But yeah, between that but God took those away. And I truly believe with my life, he knew that I had bigger battles to handle.
You know what? If there's one statement I've never heard is, well, I only did LSD. That proves right there that the LSD has affected you.
I have asked Lynette over and over again because I have friends that have gone too far, and I'm like, "Are you sure I don't act like that?" Thanks, Brian.
Like being at your house, like I heard you say, "Hey, Lynette, what restaurant you want to go to tonight?" And she answers, and you're like, "Lynette, what restaurant do you want to go to?" And you're like swatting stuff. But it was only LSD.
It was only LSD. Yeah. So yeah, but religion too. I mean, that's where I got, just pummeled. So that's really cool. But there's a lot of people that we meet that need to hear these types of things because they're hurt by, religion. And we get into a lot of that on the podcast. And we don't try to tell people to stay away from the church or stay away from God, especially not God. But man does stupid things.
Can you believe that the same scriptures that we read that like make our insides like just like feel peace and loved by God and love ourselves and forgive ourselves and everything, these same scriptures can trigger people and bring back trauma from religion that they've had. It's so sad, man. Well, my recommendation is to go read the Passion Translation for those that have, suffered with religion, because it really dives deep into the love of God. And it's just more upfront about the love of God. And you just feel, I don't know, there's like a kindness on it.
Right.
Because God is love and they don't misinterpret anything. They just that's their foundation. So they translate it with that first in mind, and
Right.
it's really good translation. So
Yeah, Lynette would actually say that. She said if people would stop reading the Bible like with the sound that God's screaming at you and read it with love, it's a totally different read.
yep, it's like God is everything, male and female came from God. So it's like you're reading it with the best father that you can't even imagine how good he is.
Yeah.
And best mother, just he's everything, everything. He's a source of everything good.
Yeah.
Well, but a lot of us have issues with how we were raised and our parents. And so if you had a mean dad, sometimes people have a hard time coming to God because that authoritative figure is in their trauma, is in their mind as, God mean, and let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff that's like kind of harsh in the Old Testament, especially, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand that Old Testament.
Right.
I go to the good stuff because I know that I'm good. I know I'm right standing with God through Christ. So I don't go to the judgment scriptures. I won't read them because I don't want to. They don't have nothing to do with me anymore. I stay in the New Testament mainly and go to the Psalms that I like. And, I get the foundation. Some people use the Bible as their God and interpret everything through, you know what I'm saying? They use the scriptures
to fit what they want to do, or
yeah.
And
it's crazy. It's like there's a season sometimes where I get away from the Bible too. I'm like, okay, Lord, that's the foundation of my life, that the scripture and how you came to the earth and how you poured out your life to humans, and now we're here. I'm in the modern age, and I feel like sometimes I'm a heretic right now, maybe to some people, but like it's like, don't read the Bible for a while. Let's just walk through life, because that word is in me now, and it's good for me to get away from it sometimes and just step into the real world and not be too religious,
Yeah.
What is your, Brian, like when you're out on the road, what does your rhythm look like spiritually, if you wouldn't mind, like kind of pulling back the veil a little bit for some of our listeners that are maybe trying to figure out, if they haven't gotten to a place where maybe they're plugged into a church, or they're new to all of this, walking with Christ. What tends to be some of your go-to patterns whenever you're kind of going at life at 100 miles an hour, but you still want to be fed and nourished spiritually? What does that tend to look like in your life?
Man,
That's good.
Freaking reading is huge for me, and music. I listen to this guy named what's his name? It'll come to me. But instrumental music, and then reading, books are so helpful, man, with people that have wisdom, and you learn from what they've learned over the years, and so I read a lot of books. If someone out there doesn't like to read, then Audible, go and listen to books and find good books about Christ, and I read the deeper spiritual books because I'm not one of these people that likes to just go to church on Sunday and, okay, I'm doing the right thing, like that. I'm like, I want to know how things work. And I was at this men's group this morning, and I was just like, man, you guys don't forget, when you leave and go out throughout your day, like God could have said that he lived anywhere, but he chose to say that he lives inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
His dwelling place wants to be inside of us. And so I read books to that aspect, to just like to develop that one-on-one, that infilling of God's life inside of me. But on the other side of your question, it's really dry on the road. Daniel's seen it. It's like, it's just go, people, noise, travel. And then you get in your hotel room after all that I just mentioned, and you're just like dead. I don't want to put on. I don't want to read. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to freaking veg, you know. And so it's a battle back and forth. The one thing that I don't deal with is like, groupies and stuff like that. There's all the guys are just done with that because everybody knows that can be a drug, right?
Yeah.
Everybody in the band knows that they've been down there with hundreds of girls and stuff, and it's a drug. And so what do we do now? We stay away from drugs. We stay away from addictions. We stay away from, sexual temptations. We just make it about family first, music second, friendship third, and all that with the foundation of the fans are here for us, and we got to be at our best. So that's how the road is now. It's age, and wisdom comes with age.
Yeah.
So we're just focused. We're only out for a month in the States at a time. So just get through those 4 weeks, enjoy the fans, go home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, what haven't you seen? It's like, it's like been there, done that. Now it's like you said, family first, and then it's work. Now it's what you do. It's what you do well, and you love it, but you don't have to get into all that other stuff. You've been there, done that.
Yeah. It was a party before, before Christ, it was a party, and that party turned very dark for everybody.
Yeah.
And it got really, scary and depressing. And so now it's like what we do and what we love. It's like we still get to do this,
Right.
And sometimes it feels like work, but most of the time it feels like play. I started playing guitar at 10 years old, and I get to play guitar for an hour and 15 minutes a night for a living.
Yeah.
When it becomes like work, it's like the third weekend and you're playing blind for the however many time, but if the crowd's dead, listen, any KORN fans out there, if the crowd is boring, then it's work. If the crowd is going crazy, it's not work. It's fun.
Yeah.
So dead crowds are just like, oh gosh, let's just go to the bus if it's going to be like this.
I had a friend that was in the airport. He said he called me. He goes, "This is the weirdest thing." He goes, "I just sat across from Slash in the airport." He goes, "It was so weird because he was just like talking business." And I go, "What did you expect?" I go, "He's been on the road forever. He's been, he's like, I don't know." He goes, "I thought he'd be like drinking and screaming and I don't know, cocaine or something." I'm like, he's beyond all that.
Dude, it's all about just, I mean, at that level, those guys probably got, a couple $100 million in the bank or something. And they're that takes work. Listen, more money takes more responsibilities. And so you got all kinds of businesses going on when you have money like that.
Right.
At least like, if they're not like entrepreneurs, that's a lot of money. And you got to talk to a lot of people about where it's at. That's a full-time job in itself.
Right. And as Biggie Small says, more money, more problems, huh?
More money, more problems. Yep.
Okay, so here's the other thing. One of the things I love about you too is how you love people. Every time I'm around you, I tend to get to like just your friends in general, but even more protective of you with people coming around. But when I watch you, sometimes you love people well. And knowing that you're on the road with people that are not like-minded, you still do that well. How do you separate those that, don't walk the way you walk, believe the way you believe, but still love on them? What drives you to that still loving? Obviously it's Jesus, but
yeah. You know what? You know how some scriptures just like you read them and then they no pun intended, but tattoo your soul
right
forever. One of them was what Paul said. He said, "Consider others better than yourself." Right?
Yeah.
And so I want to feel that inside and treat people like that on the outside with a balance of not getting taken advantage of, you know.
Right.
But, so it's just that's it, and it's not like I'm trying to be a good Christian and love people well. I actually like love people well. Like I feel it. Like I don't feel like a lovey-dovey, but I enjoy, like when we hang out, we have so much fun.
Yeah.
We just laugh and freaking. I just like to bring out the fun in people.
Right.
It's not like work. It's just a personality thing, and I love it so much that I do it on text too. And I'm trying not to do that no more because because the phone takes up too much time in my life. So I'm trying to keep it straight. But
Right.
I don't know, man. I just love people. And what do they say? Joy is a serious business of heaven or something like that. That's a saying I've heard a lot. Because what's right after love and the fruits of the spirit is joy, you know?
Right.
And it's just, I think humility is the key of who Jesus is. I mean, what's that scripture in Philippians where it says that he was, in the very nature, he is God, but he humbled himself and came to the earth and became obedient even to the point of death. He was born as a baby and he was God, you know? I mean, that's right there. That's hard for people to believe.
Right.
Because it's the single most, by far, the biggest act of humility that anyone can or ever will do.
Yeah.
Talk about stooping low, right? Someone wiped God's butt.
The things you don't think about.
I mean, seriously, he stripped himself of all deity and became just like us. And why? So that he can sympathize with the human experience and grow up to be just like us, be tempted in every way, and so that he can have compassion and empathy on us. You know, it's good, staggering when you think about it. So, I mean, that I went in a different direction, but
no, that's good.
But that's why I just enjoy people, and humility is so important to not be impressed with yourself, you know, and like whatever 40 million records, Grammys that we have. It's like, that's really cool that we did that. But I'm just like you, and I want the heart to consider you better than myself. Not to get brownie points, just to, when you obey the Bible, you actually feel more peace in your life, you know? And so maybe I'm selfish. I do it because I want to have more peace.
Well, my old pastor always used to say, be Jesus with skin on. That was his term that kind of made us think. And it's kind of a weird concept, be Jesus with skin on. But yeah, and that's what you're doing. And that's the biggest problem that I think a lot of people have, is they think just because we're Christians that we're going to go ahead and, you know, judge everything in their life that they're doing. So they automatically feel condemned from so many, but that changes it. That changes it drastically. Yeah.
I just hang out, and what do we have in common? I think I keep going to Paul, but I think he said find common ground, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have things in common with all kinds of people out there, like just life, you know, Netflix shows, you know, music, making fun of the freaking weird politics out there, like all kinds of stuff. I just enjoy people and I have fun with them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What's your current Netflix right now?
I mean,
a curveball.
I do watch things that I shouldn't sometimes. Like I watched the Dahmer, the whole freaking series.
Oh, not doing it. Not doing it.
And I watched. To me, in my mind, when I watch these things, I'm like, how does a person go there? That's what it's like. It's almost like research when I watch it. I'm like, how can the human condition get so twisted that you go there? You know.
Right.
Another one I just watched is the hatch wielding hitchhiker.
Oh my gosh.
And they're usually documentaries that I love to watch. It's a documentary about this kid who who saved. He had a hatchet, and this guy was like attacking a woman and hitting her, and he came and he whammed her 3 times, or hit him on the head 3 times. Only one time with the blade, the other was with the handle, but he saved the woman, became a hero, and then ended up killing this other guy that was supposedly a pedophile, and he thought he was being a vigilante. So just, that's it. That's my Netflix stuff. Yeah.
Did we just go to PG to
I think so.
PG-13
Like, right before you go to bed.
No,
Perfect Netflix.
Right. So go back to the Dahmer, because you were telling me about this a while back, a little bit ago. What was the most impressive thing that you told me about it? What was the most impressive thing about the end of his life that a lot of people probably don't know?
Oh yeah, he came to Christ, and there's actually a YouTube video of the real priest or pastor, I forget, I think it's a pastor, who led him to Christ in jail. And he was like, Dahmer asked him, God wouldn't ever take me, would he? And he told him, he said it was hard, but he told him about the forgiveness, and look, I don't know what that looks like on the other side. Do his victims go on the other side and Christ takes them and they are filled with love and they're waiting to forgive Dahmer on the other side as he comes to God in jail? I don't know. That would be crazy. But yeah, he supposedly got really into church and really into God, and before he got killed. So
yeah,
like that stuff, I just leave it to the things that make you go, and we'll never know until later. So
yeah,
that's another thing people would get into big arguments over. I don't go there.
Yeah, and that's just that's what again, another thing I just love is your response to that is you're more excited for that. That's where we should be. I don't care who they are. We should be excited that someone in the worst of their life has come to know this Jesus that we love and adore and are just stupid over, then go, oh, he doesn't deserve it.
Right.
It's just cool. So,
and it's understandable that people would be like, he doesn't deserve, because what he did was shocking. Shocking isn't even the right word. It's like,
right.
It's like baffling what he did. So I understand people's, on that, there could be division, because that's freaking crazy. That's a crazy, someone forgiven like that, it's just,
Yeah. I never want to open freezers whenever I'm showing houses.
So Brian, I got to ask you, for those of the listeners that don't know, your picture is actually over my shoulder right now. Here you are. This is like 2009, 2008. Yeah.
What is that? What is it?
That's you in the back seat of a 68 Impala with me with a full head of hair. I've since moved all that hair from the top of my head to my face. But I don't know if you remember, right? You came by and you had enchiladas at my home in 2008 with my family. That was the most surreal, bizarre, awesome experience.
Yes, we were on the road, right?
Yes.
Like, who in the band came with me?
The first time it was just you. It was just you. You spoke at our church at Salem and Tomball.
Is this the guy?
Yeah, we talked. Yeah. We talked about it a few months ago.
Yeah,
last year sometime.
Yeah.
Can you send me the picture of that? Because
of course.
Can you see the other guy?
Is that Ralph with me?
I think so.
Ralph Patlin.
But what was very cool is so getting to get a front row seat to that early phase of your conversion, and just you kind of got put on like an unofficial church tour. Anyone and everyone that could get a hold of you. We were one of those people. We drug you into our church, and we went around and did a lot of cool stuff. I'm curious, can you shed more light on, so now you're on tour with KORN. You no doubt have tons of adoring fans. You have all kinds of opportunities with people. And what does that ministry side of your interactions, what does it get to look like now, when you're on tour? Do you find that you have chances to talk about your relationship with Christ, off to the side before a show, after a show? I mean, those opportunities present themselves. Kind of what is that like now in this phase, in this chapter of your life?
Before COVID, it was like around 2014, 13. We started really being like, we're going to do it and we're going to gather fans, 20 to 30, 40, sometimes more. And me and the bass player are going to share our faith, We did that for a couple tours, and then our bass player really didn't want to do it anymore. So I did it with friends. We saw awesome stuff happen. We saw mimicking and mocking towards us sometimes, but mostly people were open. And it's like, they were always like, wow, this is not what I expected,
Yeah.
And some of them are like, okay, I got to sit and listen to this guy's talk about Jesus until I can get a picture with the guitar player. So yeah, it's just, and then COVID came, and obviously no one's allowed backstage.
Mm-hmm.
Things changed, and now it's starting to pick back up with that again. But a lot of people, everything shifted for COVID, and there's so much online stuff now. I think the YouTube channels like quadrupled or something crazy.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
people are doing everything online, and so, and I don't want to burn myself out either, because it was hard. I would literally get off stage and wipe my face off and then go hang out with fans for an hour and a half.
Wow.
And so it was cool, but like every single night. Now I'm just like, just gonna let it flow, kind of be spirit led in it, and yeah, I love doing it though, I really do.
Cool.
It's cool. Very cool.
Okay, so
were you at one of those before?
What? Say it again.
Were you at one of those before backstage with fans praying for him, or no?
No, but I saw some of those things, like Todd White, and he came out sometime, and yeah,
he came out in Dallas. So for instance, Todd White came out in Dallas just what was it, last like September or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, we hung out in the catering room and had a few people in there, and this one girl was like, she had a crazy story. Anyway, there was prayer and there was some cool stuff happening backstage, and so some nights are boring, some nights are fun. And I remember in Cincinnati, I tried to do it. I was like, well, we're going to do it tonight. And it was just a dud. There's like a couple people that were really impacted,
Yeah.
Through friends of mine. But as far as, yeah, I like the power of God to be displayed. And when I don't see it, I get like, come on, Lord. We're stepping out, reveal your power to these people,
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep doing it. That's for sure.
Yeah. No. And believe it or I know you know this, but even when you're not doing anything, just you're walking your faithfulness, it speaks volumes. People are talking about it all the time. So that's good. Right. Okay. So we're going to leave with this. I'm going to let you get back to your cold out there, because we're not cold here. We had a freeze that was crazy, like 3 or 4 days of nuts, absolutely no wetness whatsoever, just cold. And then the next week we were in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's crazy. I love the cold so much. It's like my favorite time of year. January, we're always, off for at least most of the month, and every year. And I just sit with my fire on, jackets and blankets, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, so I want to leave with this. There's actually 2 questions. The first one is not serious, and the second one is serious. So first one is for our listeners: who was the coolest in all your years of travel? Who was the coolest celebrity that you were just so excited to meet, and who is still the one you haven't met?
So two questions.
That's a 2-part question. That's the first one. So coolest celebrity you got to meet that you were stoked about, and the one you still want to meet.
Oh, I mean, I would say Johnny Depp, man, was
cool.
just the coolest. I mean, the way he treated everybody, he treated my daughter with such respect and like attention. Tiffany, who my daughter's mentor, just like, and he's not in a creepy way, but he's like a feeler, like he's toucher. Like he'll touch their arm and say, "Hey, sweetheart, how you doing today?" You know, and look in their eyes. He'll go out and sign on. People will say, you know, leave Johnny alone. He's not coming out. And he'll be like, shut up, and walk past him and go phone hands. And he's hung out in our room, and he was like, he was so cool being Johnny Depp that we allowed him to smoke cigarettes in our room. We're like, yeah, go ahead. But he was leaning against our doorway, blocking the door. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's in our room. That's crazy. And I was so nervous. I just go, move it, Depp.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. And he moved. He's just like, he just moved, you know? And I know people got issues, you know, he had his deal with addiction or whatever. And who knows what the truth was with all that stuff. I didn't watch much of it, but with Amber, but I'm telling you, the way he treats people is like, actually, I got inspired, and he helped me love people more after meeting him.
Oh,
a person at that height of being an actor at that level, like he'll go down in history as one of the best actors. And he was so humble and kind to like just everybody. And so, you know, I was trying to be like that before, but after seeing someone at his level like that, I was more, I swear, I was inspired to be even more kind and humble, you know?
Yeah. My girlfriend in high school couldn't wait to get home from school to watch 21 Jump Street because she was in love with Johnny Depp. And I started getting jealous of him. And she looked at me and she goes, the only reason I think he's so cute is because you look a lot like him. There you go. There's my. Cricket. Okay.
Okay, she obviously was trying to put out the fire of a fight.
Right.
She's like, what can I say to make him not mad at me? No, you're good, dude. You're good, dude.
Okay, so the one you haven't met yet.
Dead or alive?
Yeah, dead or alive.
Okay, Randy Rhoads.
Oh yeah. Okay, good.
I mean, Angus Young got me going, but Angus is more like party and bluesy, you know?
Yeah.
AC/DC I'm talking about for those who don't know. Randy Rhoads was more like feel and melodic, and you know, you felt the emotions, you know, of his playing. His soul came through his playing. So it'd be really cool to meet Randy Rhoads, and just honor for him having to die so young in such a shocking way.
Yeah. No kidding. Speaking of Angus Young, I'm learning Thunderstruck right now, the intro, and it's no, I'm learning the guitar part. That that hurts.
It's hard. I can't do that.
Very hard. It's very hard. Okay. Final question. We reach a lot of people again that are hurt by the church, that just aren't sure, you know, and you've been out with us too, all the whosoever stuff, and you know, the people we run into at skate parks and rehabs and things like that. But there's so many people. They say that atheism is actually on the down right now, which I thought was interesting.
Woohoo!
But Wiccan is on the rise, which is quite interesting. So there's obviously a lot of seeking going on. So if you had to tell anyone who's listening right now, who's skeptical or, you know, been hurt by it or whatever, what would you tell them? What heart message do you have for them that they're just trying to figure this out?
What if they've been hurt by what?
Hurt by church, hurt by God, hurt by, you know, whatever. And they're trying to figure this out. What would you tell them?
I'd be like, Why don't you call a wambulance?
Oh my gosh.
I'm just joking. Wait, this was a serious question?
It's a serious question.
I'm just joking. Everybody,
I know.
you guys, you were hurt by the church. You were abused spiritually. But I'm telling you that I don't know if I could say lucky, but I guess I'm just glad I didn't walk through all that religion back in the day. And I don't know. I would have just wasted a lot of years. I did waste years on drugs and everything, but I was building this platform with KORN that God could use later. So, but there's just so much hurt out there. But I will tell you that God's doing a restoration for people just like you. There is so many people that are like you that are getting through the trauma and the triggers of what happened with the spiritual abuse with religion. And so I would just encourage you to come on board and see this new thing that God is doing. There's a scripture says that God says, behold, I'm doing a new thing. Can you not perceive it? So I would encourage you to step in, allow yourself to perceive this new thing that he's doing in these modern times, and just find your tribe. There's someone that has been through things just like you that can share their story of how they overcame their hurts and got past it to get to God. Because here's the problem. When people spiritually abuse us, we run away from God when his heart was that we would run to him and away from those religious people. But the trap is that everyone runs away from God and throws the baby out with the bathwater, and all that stuff.
Right.
So what better time than now? 2023, start of the new year, open yourself up and to perceive this new thing that God's doing, to have a clean slate, to find out who he really is and learn who he really isn't from what they tried to teach you. Don't let those people keep you away from this perfect being that is better than any mother or father you can imagine. That's what I would say.
That's perfect. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on here, for taking the time out of your cold, busy day. And we always pray out. Do you want to pray out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it was easy to put this thing together, so I'm glad it finally happened. How many times did we cancel this? 4?
At least. I stopped putting posts up because I had to keep changing it. I was like, I never threw you under the bus because it was never your problem. It was all of it.
It was all Duffy, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. You get a little cold and you can't even get out of bed. What's up?
I didn't even talk to him on the phone, but his text sounded horrible. I was like, man, he's bad.
Even my text had the chills.
Yeah.
And we're sweating. Yeah.
Duffy, I'm glad you're feeling better, and I'm sorry. Sorry you got sick, but yeah, it was mostly me. I but it was crazy stuff where it was like, I don't know. I double booked one day and then it just went over and over. But all is well now. So, well, Lord, like I always like to say, I thank you that you're not a mean old religious God in the sky, a sky God looking for us to make mistakes so you can say, see, I told you you were an idiot. But you're a loving God. And Jesus, you came to the earth. You stripped yourself of your deity and came to the earth and became a human born of a virgin, the most largest act of humility ever to be displayed in all of creation. And you live this life, Lord, and you are able to sympathize and empathize with our human condition. You're not mad at us. You want to help us. And Lord, it's just staggering how amazing that is. Who wants a God that doesn't understand your hurts and your pains and your weaknesses. Who wants to serve a God that doesn't understand you? That's why you came, so that we can look to you. And when you say, I do understand, we can believe you because it's true. So I pray for everybody out there, Lord, that you just give them strength to have a chance to find that perception of the new thing that you're doing for this generation. I ask you that you'd show them supernatural signs and wonders as they sleep, as they live throughout their day, that they would see signs of trucks driving down the road with signs, street signs, or just signs that would be like, well, God's trying to say something to me. That's what happened to me to get me to even contemplate even trying this stuff out. So I pray you do the same for them. Send angels to them, give them dreams and visions, and send people. People are very important. Send people around them to ask them about God, just to bring up God conversations as another sign that you are drawing them to yourself. Thank you. Bless this podcast as it grows and grows and grows. Amen.
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 Dang, he just like upped the bar on the end of podcast prayer. Love you, man. Thank you so much.
Just call me each episode, and at the end, I'll call in and just do the prayer. I'll be the One Love, Haiti, Texas chaplain.
All right, you're in.
Hey,
Later, Brian.
give hugs to the family, Daniel, and good to see you both.
Good to see you too,
Later.
Brian. Thank you. Bye.